This is a reminder that on September 21st I'll be doing my second birthday Q&A, and so the questions are still being requested, and so with that in mind, I would please ask that you do make sure that you get in your questions for the Q&A when it takes place on September 21st, and I look forward to seeing all of you then. It was not that long ago when we completed the journey to bring peace back to the Holy See of Ishgard, but will it necessarily retain that title when new main story content is introduced? After all, we did successfully defeat the Archbishop and his Heavensward Knights and put them out of commission once and for all. But before we can see new main story content, well, it's time for me to show you the new side content that has been introduced into the game. And so with that in mind, greetings people of the world, Matthew back with you here at Overall Autism for the continuation of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward. And this is actually the second time that I am recording this stuff because I had recorded the side material that I wanted to on my first run through. Unfortunately, the PC that I used to record all of my materials crashed. And so that meant I lost a lot of the footage from doing the side content. Thankfully, I was able to get all of the main story put out in time before that happened, so I guess I should be grateful for that. But this meant that showing stuff off, unfortunately, will not happen the way I had intended it to. But I'm still going to show it off anyway. And it's going to begin by showing off the two new level 60 side dungeons that are available to you upon the completion of the Heavensward main story. So, the first place that we're going to go to is a place that you can get access to after you pay a visit to the Sea of Clouds. There will be a level 60 challenge available for you, and it's in order to get a special item from this location that is held by the boss and is used in a sacred ritual by the Vanu Vanu. The place we're going to be going to is a place known as Neverreap. And so we'll be making our way over there right now. So, yeah, it's actually probably just as well that I have to record this again because my first run through in Neverreap kind of did not go according to plan because obviously it was my first time. I'll explain why once we get started and we get to the final boss, but I'll take a quick time out for now and I will join you guys once we make our journey into Neverreap, so be right back. And so, we have now got the queue kicking in, and so, welcome back to the Sea of Clouds, and a place that is going to be quite fun to take on. It's a jungle on top of a bunch of floating islands, and it's known as Neverreap. And the birdie you're seeing on the left is actually going to help us, myself and 3 others. And so, what do you say we get this journey started? So yes, it will be Vanu Vanu who's going to be helping us out over the course of this journey here at Neverreap. And so you go, what the tank's going to do is going to speak to him, and he's going to get 5 thunder eggs, and you have to place each egg, one at a time, in these cloud altars. And that gives you a current of air that will launch you from one island to another. So now that we've established that, why do you say we go start picking on some birdies? I said, let's pick on some birdies. Yeah, it's so easy for me to get that button sequence mixed up. Alright, let's do this. And I guess the tank's gonna mark our opponents here, so we'll just go ahead and follow the trends. But yeah, a lot of the enemies you're gonna see here are gonna be similar to enemies you faced in places like, trying to think of some examples. The best one that comes to my mind is the lost city of Amdapur. because a lot of the enemies you faced in Lost City of Damned Poor are here as pallet swaps. A lot of flying enemies that will be dealt with here that have a lot of the similar traits and AoEs that those enemies possessed. So it's something you want to take in mind when you're coming here for the first time. And I don't know if you're hearing it all that well, but we have some pretty epic sounding music, which is actually quite appropriate for where we are. Because this is a pretty cool place to be. Just to lower this a little bit, just to give you a better idea. Just give you that better camera angle. Because yeah, we've been to Sea of Clouds before in the main story, and now it's getting its own dungeon here. Of course, there was also the experience that we had fighting Bismarck. That also happened over the time that we've been playing this game. So yeah, it's just a matter of taking down these buzzards now. We've got the Tuco Tuco and the Wamora down. But yeah, there are a lot of enemies you would normally find in a place like this, and some you would not expect, but that won't happen until later. Yeah, it shouldn't be surprising that a lot of the enemies you will be seeing will be able to be capable of flight. But there are enemies that we're going to come across that aren't capable of flight that might surprise you as we make our journey through here. And you cannot, as you can see, it says you no longer sense anything because you are not allowed to skip anything. You can only move on after you've defeated every enemy. And then and only then are you allowed to advance. Also be mindful of these twisters because they will not throw you off to the islands, but they will throw you up into the air and damage you, so be careful about that. Now the Swordes, these things are the ones you have to really be worried about because they put out AoE seemingly every other turn that they get, like right here. And Tail Chase, their special ability, can hurt you for quite a bit, so yeah, they're really small, but they can hurt really badly too. Yeah, so you see a Sword Ace on the field, that's what you want to get rid of first around here. Look out, and seal the deal. There we go. Just that easy. And as you can see, we're getting gil now collected in triple digits on a regular basis in a place like this. So yeah, if you're not into doing things like crafting or grinding or gathering, then this is the place where you can get gil quite nicely. Alright, time for the next set. And once again, with the Sword Ace on the field, we gotta worry about those guys first. For someone like myself, that means doing a lot of coming in and moving out in a hurry. Well, I don't think so. I do not think so. Think this, you vile fiend. Yeah. Let's take you down, Swordes. Because you're only gonna give me pain and misery, which I will be more than willing to return in kind. And I don't know why we're going after the buzzard next, because the Swordes is more dangerous. Staying clear. There we go. Let's put up another Divine Litany for our friends. As the sun is now starting to rise here at Neverreap. And it's going to be a beautiful day. Unless you're the enemies that are on the receiving end of our attacks, then that's something else entirely. In the air, negate that attack. There we go. And then for added measure, another stun. Whoa, look out. Let's slow you down a bit. Yeah, in a place like this, you might not necessarily, if you're playing as Dragoon, use your Blood the Dragon all that readily, because you'll want to make sure that you put on as much status afflictions against the opponents as possible. And there's an example of getting caught up in a tornado. It doesn't damage you all that much, but it can still hurt. Alright, last set of enemies before we change to another island. And as you can see, the tank here is choosing to pin himself over here because it keeps that tornado out of play. It'll never come over to this side, it'll always stay over to the left. So when you're coming over here, make sure that you can stay to the right to fight these enemies, and you'll never have to worry about the tornado. Let's take it to this Wamura. I know that's... I know for a fact, well, maybe it's not a fact, that Wamura sounds very Australian, like it sounds like a very Australian name for something. Maybe if someone's actually from Australia and is watching this, they might be able to elaborate on me if that is a word of Australian origin, because it sounds very much like an Australian word. Aye, mate, you all see my Wamura? It just seems like the kind of name that they would give something like that. So now it's down to one last Toko before we're allowed to advance. Yeah, tornadoes may be blowing around, but they're not bothering us at all. And thankfully, the Toko doesn't have an AoE attack. Which is just as well, to be quite honest. And there we go. Avoid the tornado if you can. And use another Thunder Egg. And off we go to our next island, and our first mini-boss. This is Nunyanuk. Guy with a crazy name, it's a birdie with a crazy name, and he's got some crazy abilities to go with his crazy name. As you will soon see in a moment. Yeah, he's gonna bring out a whole bunch of AoE over the course of this fight, but that's not all he does, as you're about to see. Yeah, he can cause overcast conditions and hide wherever he wants, and then you have to try and find him. Wherever he's landed up is likely... You'll likely get targeted by Nunyanuk's shadow, because that's the only thing you can attack in the overcast conditions. And I also need to attack the feathers, because if they stay on the field for too long, then you'll actually get nailed with... It'll self-destruct and nail you with a debuff. So, be careful about that. So, back to the shadow. But it's been defeated. It will come back again, though. So, you're not safe from it being overcast and from Nunyanuk's shadow attacking you. Always be mindful of what's going on around you in this fight, because there's a lot of AoE to deal with, and there's a lot of scary stuff. Like, yeah, sidestep ability there does some pretty good damage, so make sure your healer knows what they're doing. Yeah, as you can see, the Feather Squall ability is kind of like the counter attack used by Garuda in a primal duel, in one of her primal duels. Look out! So now we gotta find Nunyanuk, and once again it's landed on the tank. It can land on anyone. It can Nunyanuk's shadow, so be careful about that. And if the feathers conveniently are right next to you, by all means, go get them. Yeah, getting a bit scary there. As you can see, there are 4 feathers now on the field. And they got us. And they got both of us. Well, both of them got all of us. So yeah, we now have 2 stacks of debuff. So that sidestep's gonna hurt a little bit more. Feathers are back on the field again. So once again we have to pursue them. Whoa! Trying to get them as fast as we can. Good. We got all 4 of them. And now back to our little birdie friend. Yeah, as far as I know, Nunyanuk will only cause overcast conditions twice over the course of the battle, so don't get too discouraged if you're worried that the fight might draw too long, because they'll only do that and go to overcast twice. So we have an opportunity to play for some level 160 gear here in these 2 new side dungeons through Heavensward when you get to level 60. Now, just to point this out, the Etherochemical Research Facility, which was the last main story dungeon that you got to take part in, is actually not part of the current Expert Roulette. Which I know sounds crazy, but it's actually true that it's not actually part of the new expert roulette. Which shocks me, but I'm hoping that's something that they correct in patch 3.1 when they introduce that, whenever they do that. Alright, so I think it's time to get back into doing my regular routines again. Alright. And now over to the Lanzoi. Lanzoi! Get these guys down soon enough. And then, as you can see, there's also totems on the field. Yeah, this place at Neverreap, it has animated totems. And these things can actually hurt you. And they actually form an integral part of the next mini-boss. But more on that when we get there. For now, let's just beat up the totems that we have right now. Into the sky to stun you, and then more damage. You know, he does have AoEs, sometimes he will use it. And take advantage of the treasure chests here in the Expert Roulette dungeons, because you can get a crap ton of gear here. Like, if you have anything that's missing and you don't have enough Tomestones of Law or Tomestones of Esoterics, the 160 gear that you find here will definitely be a 12 send in Final Fantasy XIV speak. Because it can help you so much. So, it's not something you would necessarily use probably if you already had your main warrior class up to level 60, but if you were grinding up a second up to level 60, or even a third, the 160 gear you find here can be very helpful. Alright, re-stapler the dragon. Alright. Now let's go over to the far side. Oh, I'm gonna get nailed by this Vespa. You know, that was probably a bit hasty, but I wanted to go get the chest. And as you can see, we got more gear. There is so much 160 gear in this place, it's crazy. But for some reason, this happens in every dungeon, that the last treasure chest will always contain a weapon. For a minute I thought there was that in these new dungeons that didn't happen, but no, that's not true. The last chest in every dungeon will contain a weapon. Whether or not it's one that's suited to your warrior class, you won't know until you open it. But the Vespas here that you see here, they're a lot like the bees that we've seen in Karnhard, and also in Hullbreaker Isle, that if you don't kill them fast enough, they can use an ability called Final Sting, where they kamikaze themselves, and they can either take a huge amount of health off of you, or if your HP is too low, outright kill you. And the tree ants, we've seen things like this before, but to be honest, I cannot remember if they've ever actually shown up in dungeons prior to this one. In fact, thinking back, I don't think they do. This is the first time within Final Fantasy XIV Saga in a dungeon that a tree ant is an enemy. They're of course commonly found in the Black Shroud, but here in a dungeon, it's pretty much their maiden appearance. Alright, there we go. Next set of enemies. Yeah, and always play for the gear. Even if you don't need it, always play for it, because as it stands right now, as of the time I'm recording this gear that I'm acquiring is worth 920 seals each. And that's a lot of seals. If you get all the gear from an expert dungeon, you are looking at over 5,000 seals for your Grand Company. That can be used to get yourself a lot of things if you wanted to. And hey, if you've never promoted yourself or gotten your enhanced ranks within your Grand Company, I mean, that would be like the golden opportunity to just use this stuff to just skyrocket through the ranks. But of course, you would also need to complete your Grand Company hunting log too, which means going to Halatali, going to Sunken Temple of Karn, and also the Wanderer's Palace. And spin to win. There we go. And he's dead. Alright. That takes care of them. So now we have a clean shot to our second mini-boss. And you'll see why I mentioned why totems play such a significant role as we take on Vanu Vanu. And then the reapplication of Stone Skin from our healer, our White Mage. And unfortunately I can't answer this call. Yeah, whoever wanted to call me, they're gonna have to wait for another time. Because unfortunately, I'm busy recording this video and showing it off to all of you to show you how things roll around here. So yeah, you don't have to be all that worried about any regular attacks that he does. What you do have to worry about is if you get an icon over your head and he uses the ability Sacred Totem. Because he'll start introducing totems on the field, and whenever he does, you have to actually remove it from the circle before Vanu Vanu's totem chain expires. If it is not completely out of the circle, then he will actually bring it to life, and he will be invincible until you destroy the totem that is within the circle. As you see, the tank almost screwed that up. Let's go this way, because you want to make it a point. He'll use this ability a lot. You want to make it a point to spread out the totems as much as you possibly can. I might not get this one away in time. This is going to be close. Oh, got away with one there, but next time we might not be so fortunate. Gonna keep on going. Yeah, we've already got Vanu Vanu down to half health, but of course, the fact that you have to be preoccupied and going after the totems can definitely slow you down a bit. And each time a totem does come out, you can take damage. And likely will. And we got 3 in a circle. We gotta get them all moved. Gotta move them all. So yeah, this is really a team effort in a lot of different ways. As you can already see, this place is already littered with totems. In fact, to give you an idea, yeah, you can see there's pretty much a totem right now at every clock number point, you could say. Let's reapply my Blood the Dragon, and just in time to do this. Oh, no, not a permalock. Where they land. Oh, yeah, we're gonna have to move a lot of them. We're gonna have to move a lot of them this time. Get all 4 out. We're good. Now, can we kill off Vanu Vanu before he gets to use this ability again? I mean, our DPS, our damage, seems to be doing quite well. Yeah, we're good. We'll be able to kill him before he gets to bring more totems onto the field. There we go. Victory's ours. Oh, I already have one of these? Oh. Did one show up earlier? Because, yeah, it's actually not uncommon to see the same pair of gear appear twice in a single run of an expert dungeon in this version in the Heavensward storyline. So now it's time to use our final Thunder Egg to unlock a passage for ourselves. So the egg gets put in, geysers shoot up, and they reveal a path for us. Pretty cool, huh? Well, the thing is, you actually don't want to be standing in the geysers because you can actually suffer a debuff from that. That remains in effect until you get out of it. The main enemy you want to concern yourself with here is Hakulak. He's considered the main threat. And the geysers that appear, they'll appear in a random spot every time. When one goes up and one goes down, another will appear in a random location. So, whenever you see one go up like there, and you're standing in it, get out of the way. Get out of the way at all costs. And so far we're doing a good job of eliminating Hakulak. He's gone. moving on. Let's keep it going. And enjoy the awesome music of this place. And I like the heroic music that we get to enjoy here in Neverreap. And those guys are getting a wee bit too close for comfort there. Ugh. I'm not really using my Blood of the Dragon all that effectively right now. I should work on that. But yeah, you saw what happens when I get caught up in a geyser. My vision gets all blurred and whatnot. In fact, I'll probably demonstrate this for you, just to give you an idea. I kind of think that was unnecessary, but whatever. I didn't see the point in that, but, you know. I won't complain all that much. Whoa. Yeah, again, a bit too close for comfort there, but we've cleared all the enemies here, so we're now allowed to advance. And now we run into Divine Dalmos, which, if you're noticing, are like giraffes. Yeah. They have giraffes up here? Like, what's going on? Kind of weird, isn't it? But I think it's kind of pretty silly, but at the same time also cool that somehow they got giraffes up here. Actually, for what it's worth, looking at them upon further analysis, it's kind of like a cross between a giraffe and a camel, because it doesn't look like... Their heads don't look like a giraffe in the truest sense, and it looks more like a camel's head. Let's go ahead and use the Gears Kogels, just so that we're hitting both of them. And they're taking damage pretty well. Let's have this one dead. There we go. So we can get a restoration on my time before we kill this thing off. Good. Finish it off with the Dragonfire Dive. Nice. Alright, moving on. So this is actually the last set of enemies we have to fight here. Yeah, I'm gonna get stuck with it because, yeah, I actually would thought that the tank was right behind me, but shows you what I know. Yeah, I could get chewed out for jumping the gun. But the tank has now got everything under control after my hasty movement. Yeah, so far these enemies are going down pretty quickly. And Hakulak is almost defeated. Whoa, geyser pops up right underneath me. Yeah, more often than not, those geysers will always appear right underneath your feet. And as I mentioned before, always random. So watch your feet and be careful. Yeah, that instance, one popped up underneath the bard there. Trying to get the best possible vantage point. But we're doing well so far. We haven't had any real issues with our opponents. We've been fighting them very well, and our limit break's actually been going up quite nicely, I must say. The fact that we'll have a full bar before we get to the boss is good. Alright. There we go. He's down. So now, on to the lair of the final boss. So, this is who we're going to be fighting. He's going to come in a tornado of his own creation. Say hello to our boss of Neverreap, Wakion. Big flying serpent. With a mighty roar to boot. So, it's this enemy that you fight and get the special treasure that the Vanu Vanu are looking for. But as I'm talking about what we're doing, I explained why I was fortunate that I lost the footage from the initial fight with Wakion. It's because the platform that we're fighting on, and I had no idea that this was actually going on. Think Titan. Think Leviathan on extreme mode. If you fall off the side of the platform, you plunge down, and you never get to return to the fight unless the party wipes. So yeah, that's what happened to me because I didn't know about the mechanics of the fight. And I'll explain why, because, yeah, you can see Wakion is surrounded by that shield. He's invincible until you destroy all 4 of the Divine Gales, and only then. Once you destroy them all, you have to get as close to Wakion as possible, but this is going to be a very precarious shot. Because, yeah, he was right in the middle of the platform. If he knocks you off, then you are out for good. Because that's what happened to me the first time that I fought Wakion, and so the party ended up just simply finishing the fight without me. It can be done without 4, I should say. It can be done with 3, but you'd be really hard-pressed to win if you only have 2 people still left on the platform. So be careful. Okay, and whenever you see yourself getting targeted, it means that Wakion will shoot Divine Mist at you. You will take damage no matter what, but you should always remove it because it'll always have a danger about itself. Because it does attack. As do the Divine Gale. And if he comes your way, does Wakion, well, there's not much you can really do about that, other than try and get out of the way, but of course, you're trying to take down these Divine Gales as much as possible. And don't be surprised if he just keeps doubling back over and over again. Now, if he gets close to the edge like this, obviously it's better for you because you're less likely to get thrown off. But of course, now that there's tornadoes on the field, you have to be worried about that too. Because, yeah, these things will just go wherever they want. Let's get my Blood of the Dragon back on the field. I'm almost close to getting my Limit Break bar maxed out again. And go. And I'm being targeted for another shot of Divine Mist. Too bad it's not like Sierra Mist. Speaking of which, I've not seen... Sierra Mist is something that I've rarely seen in Canada. Like, I know it exists in the United States, but I have not seen an ad for Sierra Mist in forever. Crap. Well, actually, it's better that I don't use Limit Break now, because, yeah, he went back to his invincible form. So that actually worked out. So, yeah, if you are in the middle of using your Limit Break and you're in the middle of performing it when he's actually putting up his invincibility, you will not score. So be careful when you use it. And whoa, I'm almost dead. And I might not get this Limit Break off. No, I'll have to let the tornado bolt go by and then try it again. There we go. Oh, I have them. Nice. Yeah. Are we going to be able to burn Wakion down before he goes invincible again? We're in a bit of a race to see if we can pull it off. There we go. Victory's ours. Now, fortunately, I could give you a proper run. Yeah, give me that ear wiggle. Yeah, I earned it this time. But there we go. That's our run through this crazy place that they call Neverreap. So let's go ahead and play for the last set of... Okay, I guess they're just going to gift them all 3 sets to me. So, yeah, that's the first of the 2 new expert side dungeons available at level 60 here in Heavensward. And so now that we've taken care of that, when I join you again, we will take on the other place that you can go to for an expert dungeon within the patch 3.0 of Heavensward. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for watching the continuation of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward. And when I join you again, we will make our way to Expert Dungeon number 2, where we return to Azus Law and take a trip to the Fractal Continuum. So until next time everyone, this is Matthew with Navora Autism, saying take care, and I'll see you soon.